Hi everyone, this is Arsenal Fan Circle. We are live again, season 2, episode 37, and football. We're right there. We can taste it. We can feel it in our nostrils, right, Mahir? Got in the news with me once again.
Woo! Feel it on the taste bud. Shout out to all our subscribers. Shout out Tanner and Tony in the building with our host.
The bearded gooner. Thanks for joining me again.
Absolutely.
And
Pleasure to be back.
to those who don't know, Tanner's been on with me at the end of last year as well. So if you want to pick out some of those episodes, you can do that. Just go search for them. But it's good to have you back for a little bit here, Tanner.
Cheers.
And Tony Turner. Thanks for coming in, Tony.
No problem.
The numbers guy. Okay, here we are. Manchester City, and what a way, Mahir, what a way to start back. What's your feeling? Let's delve into what we did last time, because there's a lot of symmetry here in terms of what happened last time. Back in December, and Tanner will know it as well. I don't know if you were over there at that time, Tanner.
It was, yeah.
You were there. Were you at the game?
Yep.
You were at the game, right? So, pretty much we started quite well in the first minute, and it went downhill from there, Tanner. Right?
Woo, sure did. I think it was. I want to say it was Martinelli with a blistering run down the left and just missed. And then the wheels just came off.
Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne scoring a world-class goal.
Yeah.
After 2 minutes, Mahir, it was a bit of a downer.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne doing what he does best, being a world-class elite midfielder. Yeah, what more can we say?
Yeah, and Tony, Mikel Arteta would go on to say that he noticed that the whole stadium was down. The people were down. We were in a bad run of form. Freddie Ljungberg was doing his best with what he was left with under Unai Emery. And Tanner will remember that one good result at West Ham.
Was there
3-1 win at West Ham, where possibly we had the best 10 minutes of football of our whole season so far. We hit a purple patch then. But Tony, pretty depressing, that 3-0 defeat against Manchester City. You would say, men against boys.
Yeah, it's a depressing moment. Just the boys don't ever seem to want to play for Freddie for whatever reason.
And Mahir, looking back on that game, Kevin De Bruyne scored the first goal, a world-class, controlled the volley into the top right-hand corner. He engineered the second goal, a great assist for Sterling.
What I wanted to say is, we've been saying all this time, I'm sure Tanner and Tony will agree with us when we say, you know what, even if we do lose, we'd love to see fight and heart in all performances. So as long as we, we play them now in a few days' time, very close. Yeah. And as long as we see fight, I'll be happy with fight. I mean, although we desperately need 3 points or any points at all, even a draw.
Yeah, it sets the tone, Tanner, for what's going to happen in the next 9 games after this one in the league.
Yeah, it'll set the tone. I think. Unfortunately, how do I say this? I don't think we should. If the result doesn't go our way, I think I said this on Thursday night, I would not be shocked at any outcome of any match at all in this first weekend. So I don't think anybody should jump off a bridge. Mahir's absolutely right. We absolutely need all 3 points. But one thing to keep in mind, I don't know that we're as talented a team as City are. So, as Mahir said, you want to see fight, and I want to see a good understanding at this point of what Arteta is trying to instill in the team. So I want all 3 points. Don't misunderstand me. But if we don't get the 3 points, I'm not going to jump off a bridge. So,
I want to give a.
But I'm not going to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. We need you for subsequent games. Shout out to London Old School. It looks like you might be enjoying the sunshine there in Thailand. I think.
That's a good picture, man. I dig it.
It's good to see London Old School back. He's been with us from the start. And Glenn, thanks for joining us. Stan is here as well in the chats. And Deassembled, thanks for joining us, Deassembled. We really appreciate everybody. So Glenn asked Mahir, elaborate the fight, because I don't want to see Xhaka and Guendouzi picking up cards in the first 10 minutes and putting us under pressure.
The less said, the better about Granit Xhaka and his temper, because really honestly, guys, since we've picked up Xhaka, he has not, even in today's time, we've said it time and time again, or I've said it personally, I do not believe Granit Xhaka has ever been good enough for our team, which is the Arsenal. We could have picked up somebody like N'Golo Kante, which would have been a perfect fit. Yeah. And right now, who actually tells? I know the whole situation regarding that whole incident that happened with Xhaka was atrocious, and we understand why it happened. But you're telling little kids and you're telling other supporters who have nothing to do with that to F off, basically. Disgraceful.
Setting a bad example for younger players. And
exactly
because of that incident at Crystal Palace, in the return fixture, Granit Xhaka did not feature in that game. Yeah. With Guendouzi and Torreira, and while Torreira, I think, could hold up his end of the bargain, Guendouzi was all at sea in that game. Yeah. Badly at fault for the third goal against probably the best player in the league right now, in Kevin De Bruyne.
Guendouzi is a player that I really didn't understand the fascination with playing him all 90 minutes every game. Still a young guy. He's going to grow into his own. And the more that he does play, the more he will, understand the English game, the way that it's played, in the Premier League. But I think with Guendouzi right now, a little less is going to be more with him, with the new 5 substitute rule. Give him a look, give him maybe 20 minutes, towards the end of the game, and obviously depending on game situation too.
How it's going.
Yeah, exactly. But he was out to lunch on the third goal.
And it's no disgrace to be out to lunch against probably the best player.
But it
in the league.
It is and it isn't, because at this level, if you are going to be out there, then you gotta have your bearings about you. You gotta know what's going on. You gotta understand. That's the one thing with this Arsenal team that seemed to really it started to crumble at the end of the Wenger era. It really didn't get any better under Emery, and it's the one thing. If I had to put my finger on one thing that I want to see with Arteta, it's. And I've said this, I believe I've said this before on your show, Ray, situational football. And what I mean by that is understand the situation that you are in as an individual and as a whole, okay? But understand the situation that you're in a given moment and make the right decision. That's situational football. And I don't think we've been very good at that the last 3 or 4 years. We've been in those instances. It's every instance because it's the entire game. But this team just seems to not understand situational football.
Yeah. And I know, Mahir, you are not complimentary of Granit Xhaka in terms of our midfield, but he is one of the better players. It just says a lot about our midfield right now that he is one of our better players. in midfield. And I'll come to you then, Tony. Tony's shaking his head very, very vociferously. But my here is Granit Xhaka one of our better midfielders in terms of what we have?
Well, unfortunately, right now, yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
Torreira would be the better out of
Yeah.
all of them, and then
If you're
closely
gonna play
followed by
two,
Granit
if you're gonna
Xhaka.
play
If
two
you're
in
gonna
front of
have
that back,
to,
if you're gonna play two in midfield in front of that back four, you would pair Granit Xhaka with Torreira, right?
unfortunately, so.
Yeah. Tony, let's get your take there, Tony.
I would be playing Torreira as a sole central defensive midfielder. And Granite wouldn't be getting anywhere near the pitch.
At
I don't care
Manchester,
who, I don't
at
care who the
Manchester
other
City,
two box to box are.
at Manchester City, you would play one sole central defensive midfielder.
Yep, Torreira.
Okay. Tanner, you're agreeing to that?
I am actually. And Tony, I believe you and I've had this discussion on Twitter rather recently. In fact, I am of the mind that I would like to see a wide diamond in the midfield with Torreira as the base. I want the two wide midfielders to.
Yeah.
I would like them to act almost as box-to-box midfielders.
Yeah.
To start, I would put Saka on the left-hand side, and it's twofold. And if I may, kind of go on a bit of a diatribe here.
Go for it.
But with Saka out left as a wide midfielder in a diamond shape in the midfield, we already know that he can play, maybe not as well as we would like, but he can play defensively. So we know he can attack. And three coaches have played him as a left back. So the defensive capabilities are there, albeit not as good as Kieran Tierney. My point being, we know that Bukayo Saka can track back. We know he can attack. We know he can get forward and attack. And we know he can track back and help out defensively. So when we're off the ball and we need to get back and we need to play defensive, Bukayo Saka can drop back. There, theoretically, could be your second defensive central midfielder. If you understand what I'm saying, he's gonna drop back, not necessarily into a CDM role per se, positionally, but he's gonna come back and he's gonna help out defensively.
On the left side.
What's that?
On the left side of midfield.
On the left side. I would still keep Pepe out wide on the right. And quite frankly, what I want to see from Pepe, and I'm gonna quantify this with everybody knows what he wants to do. When he gets the ball and he's blazing down that right side, if I'm the opposing coach, I'm telling my defensive players he's going to cut back to the middle. He wants that ball on his left foot, and that's where he wants to fire from. He wants to fire from the corner of the 18-yard box. That's his shot. Give him the outside the entire time and keep him on his right foot, because he's not going to right now. He's not really going to hurt you on his right foot. He wants to come back into the middle. Pepe, I keep Pepe out wide on the right because he has pace, because he does have a bit of creativity, and he can get the ball into the box. And then I have Aubameyang and Lacazette as a two-headed monster up top in the box. As the tip of the diamond at the very top, as the attacking midfielder, not a lot of options right now at this point with that one. I don't want to give it to Ozil, but I unfortunately probably have to, simply because I don't trust Joe Willock. I don't trust Ainsley Maitland-Niles. The only person that I would say right now that I'd love to kind of see in that role is Martinelli.
Ceballos. Oh, okay.
Martinelli. Yeah, forgot about Ceballos. Yep. Danny Ceballos actually would here. Thank you. I'd probably put Danny Ceballos up there. And to kind of put the cherry on top of this little theory of mine, in the attack, that position, that attacking midfielder position, that's the linchpin. That has to be the best player in the attack, because while I want to bomb down the flanks, okay, and I want Kieran Tierney and I want Hector Bellerin, my fullbacks, coming down the flanks with Saka, with Pepe in attack, that player in the midfield, if we can get the ball back to the middle, and let's face it, where is your best angle to shoot from? The best angle to shoot from is not out wide. The best angle to shoot from is dead on. You've got the entire net in front of you instead of trying to pick out angles. So I want that attacking midfielder. We get the ball back into him and let him feed the attack from there. Now, if we're out wide, we get the ball into the box. Here's why I play Aubameyang, Lacazette, both as two strikers. They both bring something a little different. Lacazette is more of a hold-up player in the box. He's going to hold the ball up in the box. To that point, here comes Danny Ceballos or whoever the attacking midfielder is from the middle. Lacazette can drop the ball off to him on a first time. Boom. Hopefully ball's in the back of the net. Aubameyang, on the other hand, is more of a feed him the ball and let him make the run into the box.
He's more direct.
So exactly. So defensively, what you're forcing the other team to do is really have to play two different styles at the same time, or have to defend against two styles at the same time. And with that attacking midfielder coming into the play, trailing the play, and what I would call a center drive, that's a third attacking option right there for a guy that should have the entire net staring at him. And
like
if
it's a bias.
Drop the ball back to him on a first time, even if he takes a touch, even if he takes one touch, and then, that's my uneducated tactical opinion on things. But to Tony's point, I would play Lucas Torreira at the base of a midfield diamond as a lone central defensive midfielder. But also, I really don't want him going that far up the pitch. If we get the ball in attack, we should have 6 attacking options. Glenn, I think that's supposed to be Tanner Arteta. Is that what that is? That or is it Tony? No, it's Tony. Sorry.
Tony. Our coaching should be focused on improving weaknesses, like Pepe's right foot. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You assembled what we've been saying here, Mahir. If what we're saying is that Xhaka finds his way into the team, what does that say about our midfield in general? And not a great deal. This segment should be called Tactics with Tanner. Nice one, Tan.
Thanks, Dan.
The way he has broken down the formation, we're winning this 5-1.
I don't know. Hey, listen, man, it's a lot easier on FIFA than it is in real life. Trust me.
Yeah, listen, we're going to get into that next. We're going to get into our teams and our formations. So let's do that next here. And we've already got the detailed Tanner breakdown.
Yeah, I'm out of this segment, boys. This is all you guys.
It's all done. All right, so Tony,
what we got here?
Can you see this, folks? Yep, this is my formation. It's a 4-2-3-1.
Not showing up.
All I got, Ray, is I'm basically looking at
us 3 times over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Times 2. Times 3.
All right, hold on. Let me do this.
I must say this new style of way our viewers, our subscribers, our family can actually see what's going on, the way we're thinking it. I mean, it's fantastic.
Here we go now.
There we go.
Oh, yes, sir.
We've had the Tanner breakdown. You want to do a diamond? What formation would you call that? A 4-4-2 with a diamond, Tanner?
Man, oh man, I'll be honest with you. I probably a maybe almost a 4-1-3-2. I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Say a 4-1-2-1-2, but it would be maybe it would be somewhere in there. So like a 4-1-3-2, something like that.
Okay, so what would your central defensive players be, Tanner, playing Manchester City?
David Luiz and hmm, I don't know if I'd put Mari in there over. I really, man, I want to see Rob Holding in there.
Yeah.
I don't know that I go with Rob Holding right off the bat. Unfortunately, here's the thing. I don't know how fit these guys are, so it's kind of hard to say. I'll tell you what, man. I'll stick with what you've got with what you have there as your back four. I'll stick with Louise and Mari there for sure.
All right. So since Tanner went through his formation, Tony and Mahir, pay attention because you'll be modifying your tactics and or players after I go through mine here. So I'm going to play a 4-2-3-1. Bernd Leno is your goalkeeper, of course. David Luiz, who's been an ever constant under Arteta, and Pablo Mari, who has come in and done quite well in those 2 games before the break. And Stan is asking, what's up with Murray? Is he a bit shy? Yeah, he doesn't have a photograph yet. So here in Tierney is the left back who should start, in my opinion. And Hector Bellerin is on the right side because we don't have, at this point in time, I think, anyone better than Hector Bellerin as right back. And again, that's another shameful blight against the club, in my opinion. I don't know if Hector Bellerin. I know you're pretty sweet on him, Tanner, but because of the injury. But I just don't know if he's good enough still. Granit Xhaka and Torreira, the 2 central defensive midfielders. And then I'm going to play Danny Ceballos as that influential number 10 position to supply Pepe on the right-hand side. Aubameyang is your lone striker, and I just think Martinelli has a little bit more energy, a little bit more about him to start with. And we do have 5 substitutes, so I'm looking at Saka to come in for Martinelli at some point. I don't know if Eddie Nketiah is going to get into this game, and maybe Lacazette could come off the bench for Aubameyang because there's going to be many, many goals. So, comments?
Okay. I think we'll go with Tony. I'd like to hear from what Tony's formation and his team is.
All right, Tony, I will switch any players for you right now. I'm the coach here.
I think it's probably the formation we'll go with. I want to go with it, but I think Arteta seems pretty sold on the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, you want to stay with the 4-2-3-1 formation?
I don't want to, but he will.
All right, well, this is your team right now. So what are we changing it to?
We're
What?
a Aubameyang and Lacazette up front.
You want to play a 4-4-2, kind of a diamond?
Yep.
Okay, 4-4-2. Let's do this.
Basically what Tanner had.
All right, you want to go Lacazette instead of Pepe right there?
Yep.
Okay. So let's put Alex Lacazette in there up front with Aubameyang. On the right wing, you want to change Ceballos
To Pepe.
Okay. And Torreira and Xhaka for you in midfield?
Nope. Carrera back deeper.
Torreira deeper. Okay, let's just say Torreira's deeper. And who are you going to partner with him in midfield?
Ceballos.
Instead of Granit Xhaka. Okay.
Oh, I love all these suggestions, guys.
And Saka where Martinelli's at.
You want Saka instead of the wonder kid from Brazil. There he is, Bukayo Saka, 18 years old. Your right back and left back, are you happy with that?
And I'd go with Niles on the right.
Okay, this is your team.
And I'd go with Mari and Socrates.
And Socrates instead of David Luiz.
Yep.
There he is, the 31-year-old aging centre back. All right, so you have quite attacking players on the wing, Saka and Pepe. Torreira is going to be a little bit deeper. You're going to play in the diamond formation. Torreira is a little deeper. Danny Ceballos a little bit more further forward. Aubameyang and Lacazette. It's quite an attacking lineup. Do you think Socrates is up to it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let me know, everyone, in the comments what you think about that, and we'll get into the comments. Mahir, what would you like to go with?
I'd like to go with your formation, 4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1. Okay. There you
go. My back line, obviously excited to see Kieran Tierney back. Excited to see what he has in store for us coming back from injury. My thoughts on the back line, Pablo Mari and David Luiz would be my two centre backs.
Okay.
And as much as we haven't seen Pablo Mari feature, excited for him as well, because I want to see if he's worth it or not to have, in our Arsenal squad. And we haven't seen much of that. Right back, who's our right back? Let's see. Victor Bellerin.
And there's Hector. Okay, into midfield.
In the midfield, let's see. Torreira and Ceballos can stay exactly where they are, although Torreira would need to drop into that his favorite position, which is defensive mid. Mm-hmm. So he'll be dropping a little bit deeper every time, in order to help out our back four. In King 3, I'm going with in the number 10, I would have to say Ceballos.
All right. And who's going to be in central midfield? Granit Xhaka?
Unfortunately, I mean, I don't trust the likes of the rest of them. I don't trust
He's got the perfect teacher haircut there. He gets into the team every time.
Every single time. Look, unfortunately, guys, Joe Willock, I can't trust at the moment. I can't trust the likes of Reece Nelson. I can't trust even Guendouzi. You guys do know Tanner, Tony? That guy is rash. I mean, yes, he's a youngster. The young kid will learn he will learn later on. But right now, unfortunately, I won't be able to. Martinelli on the left, Pepe on the right-hand side, Aubameyang up front. I just feel Martinelli has something about him. You could bring in Saka later on. You could bring in Lacazette later on. And hopefully, somehow we manage to push out a result, guys. Somehow.
Yes, so
out of the skin of our teeth.
There's your team, Mahir. And if we're defending, it's going to be a 4-5-1. And if we're attacking, it's hopefully 4-2-3-1. Yeah. 4-2-3-1. You know. But that's the teams. Let's see what happens in the game, and we'll get into the comment section that everyone has been providing here. We're going to catch up in the comments. So,
of course,
yeah, it's going to be Tony. Manchester City were having some dodgy results before the end of the league. They were not winning games. So Manchester City are maybe vulnerable, right?
Yeah, they were struggling, but they've had plenty of time to get their heads together.
Like all of us, they've had time to get their heads together. Okay, the assembled here, Tanner. You can't polish a turd. The Arsenal squad hasn't got any world-class players, or can anyone on the panel name one? And the only one I would name would be Aubameyang.
Yeah, Aubameyang's a world-class player. Let's not make any mistake about that. But on this current club, yeah, he's the only one.
Yeah. Can anyone think of a second world-class player we have? No.
I mean, I think we have a couple of guys with potential to become world-class players. Bukayo Saka being probably primary among that group. Martinelli, of course, give him a shout. But yeah, as a current world class, it would be Aubameyang, and that would be it.
Get in Tony with the 4-4-2 diamond. So Stan agrees with your thinking, and Tanner, you had the same thinking as well.
And I agree with Stan. It needs to be it does need to be a wide diamond. And unfortunately I can't. I have it's buildlineup.com is what I have here. I would actually, the other thing that I have kind of looked at in terms of tactics is I look at the pitch, net up top, net down below. So I'm looking at it overhead. So I'm looking at it, as you set up a formation, and I see lanes up and down the pitch, and I would want to put in those lanes for defensive responsibilities. I would want to put a player in each lane if possible. The only lanes I would really be okay with leaving open are the far wide lanes. The first lane in from either touchline. If any of this makes sense, and in my warped mind it does, but I'm not sure if I'm conveying it very well.
No, Tanner, you're absolutely right. I've seen it somewhere where somebody I think they were talking about Pep, or they were talking about the formations or the shape of Pep's team at Man City, and how the pitch is divided into, I think it's about 5 sections from touchline to touchline. Okay. And I've seen it, and I'm surprised like Stan said, I'm surprised we haven't tried that formation, or how they don't see it like that, where players are in each section of the pitch, even cornered off like this, straight down, straight across. So in each section is one player.
Yeah.
Where they've got space in front of them, or if you're talking about analysis or tactics, the way they move, whether it be diagonally, vertically, horizontally, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's almost it's almost sort of when you're talking defensive tactics. The man marking that I've never been a fan of the man marking defensive strategy, simply because you really have to have world-class defenders, in my opinion, to man mark. I'd much rather play, if it makes sense, I'd much rather play a zone defense. In other words, every defensive player, his responsibility is a zone. He does not get outside of his zone. There are going to be exceptions to that rule, or to that thought, but every player has a defensive zone, and whenever a player enters that defensive zone, that's your man.
That's your job, yeah.
That's your man. Now you say, well, what happens if you overload a zone? If the opposing team overloads one zone offensively, and this is where you start to coach up these are your responsibilities then. So I would break the pitch down left to right. As we're looking at it, probably into 7 zones. A zone in the middle, straight up and down the pitch, net to net, that's one zone. And then it basically just branches out from there. So you've got 3 on either side, or it would be 7 to 9. So you either have 4, and then 1 in the middle, or you have 3, and 1 in the middle. So, and again, this is for defensive tactics. And Ray, I'm sorry, I kind of bogarted your show here on tactics.
No. You're good.
But defensively, you need structure. You absolutely need structure defensively. Offensively, preach creativity.
Tyler, we're going to get tested. Manchester City will be a possession-based team on Wednesday. Yeah. That discipline is going to be tested to the extreme with our players. We're going to need the older heads to help the younger heads as well, to keep in position and keep their composure. And like Glenn had said, not to take silly yellow cards. early, because if we get one of our more influential players on a yellow card, we are more likely maybe to think about substitutes for the more influential players with 5 substitutes as well.
The one thing I would say about your comment about the yellow cards and the fight, you're not going to have to worry about Guendouzi, because I don't think he's going to get the start. So I don't think you got to worry about him in the first 10 minutes getting a card. Xhaka, everybody rags on Xhaka, and for good reason. Is he good enough to be a part of this team? Is he good enough to be a part of this team? Yes. He is good enough to be a part of this team. Is he good enough to be a part of this team in the role that he is constantly put in? No. He's good enough to be a part of this team as a squad rotation player. I would absolutely take Granit Xhaka if he were the second choice on Saturdays and Sundays. I'd take Granit Xhaka if he's the first choice on Thursday nights. I'd take Granit Xhaka if he's the first choice against the Norwich City. I'd take Granit Xhaka if he's the first choice against Southampton popped into my head, but boy, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I want him against Southampton. They were really coming on before the break, but before the lockdown. Zonal marking or man marking, any preference from Stan? Stan, I would say zonal marking, but I'll tell you, it would almost be a man marking inside the zone. But as that player leaves your zone, the next zone over or up has to take him. So
I don't like zonal marking. I remember at West Brom game away from home under Arsene Wenger, we lost, I think, 2-1 to two-headed goals from, I think, Dawson. And those were zonal marking where our players never reacted. The player ghosted into that zone and took over. I think zonal marking doesn't give you the responsibility of actually marking a player. So you've got an easy out as an Arsenal player under zonal marking. Never been a fan of it.
Here's the funny thing, Ray and Tana. When it comes to zonal marking, right, you have to be positionally aware of where you are or the dangers of consequences of you making a mistake. And that's where we don't have, like we talk about world-class players, we've only got Aubameyang, literally and physically, only Aubameyang. We don't have the defensive core. We don't have a midfield spine. All of these things could have been solved such a long time ago. Where Tana was actually saying to Ray the one day, do you know the funny thing is, we could have, back in the day, I mean, even per transfer window since the early 2000s, maybe bought one world-class player per transfer window worth 30 to 50 mil, right? And possibly right now had a squad competing with the top squads of the world.
Yeah, if you buy a reasonably very decent player every season, you are regenerating the team, revitalizing the team. But I want to get into the assembled here. Aubameyang is a good player, not world class. Misses too many definite goals for me. And I want to say the assembled, if you extrapolate Aubameyang's appearances to goals ratio, it's actually better than Thierry Henry at the moment.
I was actually just going to make that exact comparison.
Yeah.
Spot on, man.
I mean, he's never going to get to 228 goals that Thierry Henry scored because of his age. If we'd have bought him a few years ago, he would definitely be knocking on the doorstep, and he would probably, if he stays with us, and that's a big if at this point in time that we can talk about. If he stays with us, he could knock on 140 to 150 goals if he gets a couple more seasons.
Yeah.
But for me, he is a world-class player. And I know that definition is kind of loose, Tanner. What you actually perceive to be a world-class player.
So what do I perceive to be a world-class player?
Yeah, the definition of world-class players means something different to everybody.
Man, oh man.
Like, is it a special group of 10 people in the world, or is it broader than that? You know?
I think it's broader than that. But to say world class, I would say, a player that you look at and you say, could he walk into just about any team in the world and start? And man, I struggle to think of any team that Aubameyang would not walk into and start right away. I mean,
yeah, that's really a good criteria to base this off of. You asked what team could do without an Aubameyang.
Well, and it's not even what team could do without him as much as it is, again, what team could he go to where they say, you may not be the first choice in a given week. If he's there, he's the first
the
name
main man
on your team sheet week in, week out. Matt, I mean, I'm seriously, I'm racking my brain. He goes to Barcelona, he walks right. He's their primary striker. He goes to Madrid. He's their primary striker. He goes to
PSG.
PSG. He's absolutely. I mean, good God, if he went to PSG, look out on that attack, man.
What about Juventus?
Yeah, I'd say he'd be their primary. The only team that is coming to my mind right now, where I would say maybe he's not, would be Bayern. But even there, I think if he went to Bayern Munich, I think you figure out a way to get Lewandowski and Aubameyang on the pitch at the same time.
Look, the assembled. You're making a great point here that we're comparing Aubameyang to Henry here.
Aubameyang's better than Henry. Don't make that mistake.
No, we're not saying that. Only in terms of pure goal scoring statistics, in terms of goals.
And let's not forget too. I mean, and Henry, not saying that he missed the sitters, which is the assembled's point, is Aubameyang missing the sitters. Look, it's going to happen. Okay, these guys are not perfect. Thierry Henry. I mean, Thierry Henry missed. He missed.
Let me tell you, Tanner, that Rohan, who features on this, Rohan has said, I did not notice. He said that Thierry Henry had been in 9 finals with Arsenal and never scored in any one of those finals.
Wow. That's crazy.
Right? FA Cup finals, Champions League final, and League Cup finals and things like that. Your UEFA Cup, Europa League finals, you name it. He had never scored in any of those 9 games.
I knew he never scored in an FA Cup final. I'd known that one, but wow, the other, that's crazy to think about.
When you put them all together between the UEFA Cup and League Cups, FA Cups, and Champions League finals, he's never scored. And I completely understand what you're saying. The assembled Thierry Henry was poetry in motion. He glided on that pitch, and he could take players on for fun. And
he did.
You could put like opera music to watching him, and it was great times. He also probably assisted. He assisted a lot of players as well, hell of a lot more than Aubameyang's ever going to do. But we're just saying on a pure goal scoring stats that Aubameyang's record stands up there with the rest of them. And our team has not really been functioning very well, Tony, in the last few years.
Dysfunctional midfield and no creative players. Just everything.
And for a player of Aubameyang's class, Mahir, to exist in this Arsenal team and still score goals is quite a feat.
Yes, unbelievable. But I'm going to go back to the point, Tony, that we were discussing now. It's a simple matter of, so say for instance, back in the days, right? A few years ago, not too long ago, when Wenger's demise started, basically you sell off one deadwood player, get in a class player, or sell 2 or 3 deadwood players, sell somebody like Danny Welbeck and Lucas Perez, and then bring in Aubameyang. Sell somebody like Granit Xhaka and Francis Coquelin, and bring in somebody like N'Golo Kante. Sell Mustafi and a David Luiz instead of this whole, we need experience. How well is that done us past few years? Guys,
Yeah.
Sell Mustafi, sell David Luiz, buy even a young centre back, like somebody with potential. Not even that
Mika.
expensive. They are Premier League players such as um, Tony, such as Lewis Dunk, for example. Midfield, you could even think of somebody like Abdoulaye Decore from Watford, who's a
Yeah.
ball. What do they call him? A midfield destroyer in
Destroyer, yeah.
midfield. It's
Well,
simple things, man. Simple changes, guys. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure these things out.
and Tanner will know firsthand, not to bring you back into bad memories, but Brighton, you were at the Brighton game at home, Tanner, with Lewis Dunk. Now, Lewis Dunk, whatever you might say about him, he was the leader on the pitch, and
Oh, he's absolutely. I would absolutely love to have Lewis Dunk at the Arsenal. Absolutely love it.
he's a player who could grow.
You know what? I'll tell you this. I mean, one thing I've often said about defensive players: if nobody's talking about you, chances are you're probably really, really good. The exception to that rule is probably Virgil van Dijk. But you just never, ever, ever hear anyone talk about Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's kind of one of those, if he's just out there, he's doing his job, which is shutting down probably the other team's best attacker. You just, as a defender, I would almost, if I were the manager or the coach, I would probably tell my defenders, look, you know what? I want you guys to just be really, really boring guys. In other words, I don't want people talking about you. I don't want your name in the media. I don't want the media talking about you, because if the media is talking about you, chances are it's probably not good. Sorry, Ray.
The best referees would go unnoticed as well. So if the referee's having a good game, you're not complaining about the referee because
I'm talking about the referee. Yep, exactly.
The same thing goes for defenders, and you just mentioned it with Lewis Dunk, and I was just thinking, nobody's talking about that Leicester defender who we could have signed yet again, Sionku, and he's had
Turkish kid. Yeah.
We've all forgotten about these players who have been playing pretty well in the Premier League because we've been away for 3 months, and we're going to get back into it now. But December, thanks for putting together a team here for us for Wednesday.
Of course.
Bern Leno, Mustafi right back, Holding and Marie as your central defenders. Tierney, going to pair Granit Xhaka and David Luiz together. And Martinelli in the attacking central midfield role. Pepe on the right, Aubameyang on the left, and Lacazette through the middle. Mayer, what's your take on Lacazette? A lot of the fan base is going to be split on him right now.
Look, a lot of love for Lacazette. I mean, I do personally love him. I'm glad he did come to the Arsenal. It's just, it doesn't help when, a lot of personal things affect. Dan and Tony, we've discussed in the past, mental health being a very vital point in football, in life in general. But for me, I would just love to see more from Lacazette though. I know he did want to move to Atletico Madrid, and if they hadn't gotten a transfer ban, he probably would have. But he is with us now, and I think we should just support him. I want to see him succeed, though. I really, honestly want him to succeed. But there's a lot of work that goes into that, along with bettering our team. Like, I personally wouldn't expect Lacazette to drop back and go into a sort of defensive role, even somewhere along the lines of in the midfield, having to drop back to defend, to help. But
possibly that's what Arteta is asking him to do, possibly.
Yeah, but that's getting less productivity out of him because he's a central striker. Like, I would prefer for Martinelli and Aubameyang to be banging in goals, and then, or when we really need help, bring him on almost like a super sub, basically. Like Tanner said, bring him off the bench. I mean, we've got now 5 subs. So let's see exactly what happens. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not going to jump off a bridge either.
Yeah, Tony.
If we do lose to Man City.
Tony, we know from the heat map, the famous heat map, that Lacazette has been drifting deeper and deeper in the midfield under Unai Emery.
He's been playing that deep.
He has been playing that deep, and maybe it's something that only he and the team know, and Arteta knows, and he knows, but the fans really expect him to still score goals, and he's suffering a little bit from that.
Yeah, hopefully he lets him play more up front and has him stop playing way back there.
Well, Tony, a lot of fans that say you can't play Aubameyang and Lacazette together, and then I'm going to come to you, Tanner, on the same point. Tony, you can't play Aubameyang and Lacazette together. It does not work.
I don't think we've tried it enough to say if it works or not.
I think we have tried. We've tried it so much that Aubameyang's probably played more games on the left than he has in the middle.
Yeah, but that's him playing up on the left, not both of them up front. We haven't tried
Yeah,
it.
well,
I see what Tony's trying to say. He's saying you play like you play Lacazette a little bit slightly, very slightly deeper than Aubameyang, with Aubameyang being a right up top, but not putting Aubameyang on the left wing, but playing them right up top, Lacazette a little bit deeper, basically.
And Tanner, you're going to get the benefit of all this food for thought here. Lacazette role in the team changed when Aubameyang arrived from the assembled. And the assembled, I had said before, the best thing for Henry was players like Vieira, definitely Bergkamp and Perez. We hit a golden, it's like you're hitting pay dirt right there with those years. But
that's a perfect storm. I mean, those players. Oh my God. I mean, just.
We'll never see the like of it. We probably will never see the like of it again. You can try to recreate that, but it may never happen for us. We may win things in the future, but it won't be in that kind of style. But Lacazette for you, Tanner.
Well, if I may, a bit of a personal anecdote here with Lacazette. He's always going to have a special place in my heart, only because he scored the first goal that I ever saw live for the Arsenal. It was against West Brom. It was the day before my birthday, September of 2017. It was September 25th. It was a Monday night match. We won 2-0. He actually scored a penalty, and he scored off a rebound on a free kick. He's always going to have that kind of special place in my heart. He's always going to be up there with Michael Thomas for me. And it's just that's just it. So I love Alex Lacazette, and I want him to, for personal reasons, I want him to stay at the club, and I want him to succeed. I want anybody that's here to succeed. I want Granit Xhaka to succeed. I want him to do well. He plays for my club. I want him to do well, because if he does well, the Arsenal should do well. Get the personal vendettas out of here. But with Lacazette and the Assembled's comment there about his role changing when Aubameyang got here, it did a little bit. But again, Ray, you said that the experiment with playing them together hasn't really worked. And I don't disagree with you, but I also would say that the experiment of playing them together hasn't worked because they haven't played them together in the right way. Playing Aubameyang out wide, well, go back to and it doesn't necessarily have to be the 4-4-2 or whatever you want to, with the diamond in the middle. It doesn't have to be that, but play those two in the box. Play them both as strikers. Stop with this. We can only have one striker. Those are the rules.
We'll never be able to do that until we sort out midfield, Tanner.
Well, right. Because if the midfield, excuse my language, but if the midfield is shit, which it's been for years now, then playing the two strikers isn't really going to matter. Not to go off topic here a little bit, but the mark of a good coach, especially when he first gets to a club, is to look at the players that he has and say, okay, how are we going to play to best fit what they're good at? I need to play to their strengths because it's what I have right now. And I don't think that was Unai Emery's biggest downfall, was he just continuously tried to put square pegs in round holes with this club. So I hopefully Arteta changes that a little bit and says, okay, what do we got to do here to get the best out of these guys? And yes, Stan, absolutely. Ben Mee, 100%. Another one, just quiet. Goes about, does his job, and nobody talks about him. Brilliant.
Can I just tell you, Tanner, I'm not buying your love of Lacazette because it was first goal. Because you want to know who my first goal scorer is?
Oh, what? Who?
It was that year the Manchester United were going on to win the Europa League. Jose Mourinho was Manchester United coach. And who scored the first goal that day, Tony? Mid-swig.
I don't
Who
remember.
scored the first Arsenal goal? Granit Xhaka. So I don't have that warm and fuzzy feeling about.
It's just one of those things that I'll always remember. You know what I mean? I'll always remember that game.
Yeah,
I remember that entire day. And
That's why I was laughing.
Yesterday.
That's why I was laughing the whole time you were explaining the Lacazette situation, because I was just comparing it to Granit Xhaka with the perfect haircut that all four coaches have loved so far.
Very good.
Mario, you're frozen. No, you're not frozen.
No.
Although I
I'm
will say it is South Africa, and we must remember you're Southern Hemisphere, so you're in your winter right now.
Yeah,
So if everyone in England or the UK or the US is saying why is he wearing a hoodie? It's not warm where you are, right?
Yeah, it's winter time for him.
exactly, guys. I mean, sometimes, to be honest with you guys, I'll check the weather in the morning when I get to work at 7:30 in the morning, and other days the other day it was -3 and -5, and I was checking. What? Why am I even at work? Why did I even get out of bed this morning? I should have just told him, look here, if you need to fire me, it's fine. But I'm staying in bed away from you guys. I mean, jeez.
All right, so
Prison break.
prison break. Let's get into Assemble here. Assemble's left the comment. Arsenal's biggest error is trying to recreate the Vieira Adams era. Football has changed. Arsenal are in a time warp. But Aubameyang and Lacazette were brought by Wenger. He'd know how to play them. I think that was more of a Gazidis. I definitely Aubameyang. Wenger bought Lacazette, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But the new power shift went out to Germany and bought Aubameyang in quite a public way as well. And Stan says, don't think Wenger had much to do with buying Aubameyang. So I didn't even see that Stan, even though I had it open while I was explaining. Raul and Vinay went out there to Dortmund and brought Aubameyang home. And he's a great goal scorer, but we need to make the midfield work. Tony, we see news on the Aubameyang contract situation, Tony, and we're hearing that Aubameyang, there's actually not been any negotiations yet on his contract. Are we to believe that?
I don't believe it one bit. They supposedly offered him a contract earlier in the year in November, December, and he didn't sign it.
I think the quote was, there was a quote from Aubameyang, Tanner, that went something like, I'm here, I'm ready, I want to win titles. I'm just trying to find exactly what was said. This is Aubameyang's direct quote, Tanner. As I have said already, the club has the keys to this. The clubs have the key to this situation. I am hungry to win titles, and whatever my decision, I intend to fight to win titles. To be clear, nothing has been decided. So there may well be negotiation, right?
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I got the same thing on a Bleacher Report alert this morning that basically, he said Arsenal have the keys to me extending It will be the most important career. It will be my most important career decision. And you can't blame a guy for wanting to win. In fact, I saw someone the other day on Twitter put out a. Give me 1 sec here, guys. I got to plug in. I'm going to die here in a minute.
Yeah. Hey, you do that while we take that up now here. Aubameyang has said that the club has the keys to this. So let's analyze that. What does that mean? The club knows where he stands. The ball is in the court of the club.
Yeah, ball is in the club of the actually in the hands of the club. You know, the funny thing is, he said quite a while ago, into the season, that he doesn't pay attention to the media, because as we do know, media can lie and create very vicious stories, about players. But the other thing is that I'm concerned about is, they said when players now run their contracts down to the last year or two, either we make a decision, either we sell them straight on, or they sign a contract. And obviously, we've allowed about 7 players to run it down to their last year or final year. And from then, guys, the players have power. So you can understand, exchange the word keys in the statement to cash.
Let me read it. Let me read it then. As I've said already, the club has the cash to this.
I mean, like really, honestly, these type of situations should get sorted. We should be signing Aubameyang. I've signed him to a new contract long ago. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, man. I'm just like, I get frustrated about all these small things that add up to be things, because actions talk louder than what is it? Actions talk louder than words.
Yeah.
And us as fans, Tanner, we're going to get nervous about it. It's our day-to-day thing. The club and the player will sit on this for weeks on end while we toil over what's happening.
Yeah. Kind of funny how that works. We're the ones who are infinitely more worried about what's going to happen than the club and the player both are. But that's that, again, with things that people have to remember, and we as fans and supporters need to remember, this is a job for these guys. This is business for them. It's no different than us going to our job. It's just that when they go to their job, a bunch of people are watching them and cheering them on, and a bunch of people are watching them and cheering very loudly against them as well. So, but it is a job, and this is a business, and I hope something gets done. I want to see him. I wouldn't necessarily say end his career here, but would that be the worst thing in the world if he were to sign a new 4-year deal and kind of walked off into the sunset at the end of it? I mean, I think he has a few or more solid, productive years left in him. I mean, I think he could right until 37 years old and still be one of the world's most prolific strikers.
Yeah, Tanner, the middle part of this statement is very clear and everyone can understand it. It's the beginning and the end. So let me read the middle part that we all get. I am hungry to win titles, and whatever my decision, I intend to fight to win titles. So that means wherever he's going to be, he intends to win titles, right?
Yeah.
He finishes with this. To be clear, nothing has been decided. But the important part here is the club has the keys to this. Now, that means you're 2 things. Either you pay him really, really well to stay, or the club will decide to let him go, or you show the ambition by signing players that will persuade him to stay.
Right. And hopefully, the one thing that I see with footballers is they tend to gravitate towards the teams that, or the clubs that are perennial
winning,
trophy winners. Barcelona, Madrid, Juventus, Bayern, those clubs. And so to me, there is a priority placed on winning. That said, obviously there's going to be a money factor. And we just simply don't have the money to go and buy all of the world's best players. We're not Barcelona. We're just not that club. So I would think that Arteta is going to play a role in this with his coaching, and Aubameyang has to see that. Is Arteta a coach that he wants to play for? Is the club going to show ambition and go sign Thomas Partey? Can we get Upamecano if that's the guy if that's the other center back we want? I'd prefer Konate personally, but
yeah.
But I think it's a multi-pronged discussion with Obama. It's not just money. I think the money would make his decision a little easier in one way or the other. They either offer him great money and he's like, I can't really turn that down, or they don't offer him enough and he's like, hey, you can take the piss because that offer's off. Which I don't think it'll be either one of those things. I think they're going to offer him middle of the road wages for this club. He's not going to get disposal money.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yep.
Uba supposedly wanted 300,000 a week. He's on 200,000 a week, and with his goal bonuses and everything, I think he's got plenty of money as it is now.
I agree 100%. I don't think he needs more.
And that's the thing as well. Who is going to pay him that kind of wages, especially if he gets a little more than 200,000 a week? There's no one going to be able to pay that wages in these current economic climate. Whether it be a team in Spain or not, it's going to be quite difficult for him to move on. We could actually be, Mahir, we could be at that breaking point where the player may actually have to stay at the club because he's, unless he takes a pay cut to move.
Look, I would love for him to make a decision. Like, I would love for him to be playing for us, like Tony said, at least another 2 seasons. I mean, I have a feeling he has potential to go on and still be playing for another 2, 3, 4 years, at the top level, still be bringing in goals.
And the Assemble is making a good point here. We used to, I remember Ian Wright back in the 90s. He would score close to 50% of all of the goals in the team, and that is not sustainable over a long period. So he's saying, Stan, that's why he needs to go. Goals should be coming from all over the pitch, not just Aubameyang. If you think about it, Robin van Persie, Henry left when the team relied on them to score, and that's the thing. You need a midfield to start chipping in. That's why I was a little bit heartened by Joe Willock scoring in that Brentford friendly. We need Joe Willock to score some goals because midfield, they're not going to chip in with too many goals other than the wide areas. Martinelli, Saka, and Pepe, maybe Reece Nelson here. And Stan said on Thursday the man gets 45,000 gold bonus. So Aubameyang. So we're going to wait and see. Go ahead, Mahir. We're going to wait and see what happens with Aubameyang.
No, I was just saying, like, wow. Like, I didn't actually know there is such a thing as, I heard about a goal bonus. That's what I'm saying, we'd love for, the other interesting thing the Assemble put in her, his or her lineup, is that, David Luiz in the midfield. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent shout there. He's a great ball playing player. But Granit Xhaka, I think that the coaches kind of sees his perceived quality, right, Tony? And in the return fixtures, everyone remember the return fixture back in December when we were playing against Manchester City with Freddie Ljungberg holding his head in his hands with some kind of terrible back pass. I think it was from Chambers at the time. I would take to say that was probably our lowest point in the season, losing to Manchester City after 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah, nobody.
But that's just the thing, guys. Tony, would you not agree? One mistake and then it's overs. People drop their heads, our players, and then
that's another thing I wanted to get into, and this is your question, Mahir. Thanks for helping me. Rohan, taking a little bit of a vacation. Thanks for joining us, Rohan. He's taking a few days there. So much needed break, Rohan. Here's the thing that Mahir has pointed me towards now. Tony, a very, very key part of Wednesday and previewing this game for Manchester City is the word. One word I'm going to use is belief. The players need to believe in Arteta, need to believe that he's going to put them in the best position possible. And they need to believe, they need to go on the field and start believing that they can get a result. I don't want this team going out there saying, shit, this is the Etihad, even if there's not going to be a full stadium, to be fearful of going out there playing and getting a positive result for us. So, Tony, belief is very, very important going into Wednesday.
I think he's had plenty of time to convince the team what his plan is and what he wants from them. So there shouldn't really be any doubts.
So, what we're saying is, right here, what Tony's saying is we're going to see the proof. Proof is in the baking of the pie here, right? Proof is in the pudding. If the players believe in Arteta, we're going to see it on the pitch.
Exactly. That's just the thing. You play for your coach, you play for your team. That's the people that are most important. You play for your supporters. Without us, there would be no Arsenal,
And
basically.
that's the key thing for me, Tanner. And we're going to do a watch along as well on Wednesday. So join us there, everyone.
Can't wait.
We're going to do a watch along, see how it goes. But Tanner, the big thing for me is belief. If you're going to encapsulate this game for us in one word, it's belief. For me, the players have to believe in Arteta.
Oh, absolutely. They have to believe. They have to believe in the coach. They have to believe in the system he's trying to instill. They have to believe in his tactics. And they also have to believe in one another. You know, we hear all the time about confidence and lack of in certain situations. And these guys they have to remember you're professionals. You're playing the game at the highest level that it can be played at, and I mean professionally, not necessarily league or things like that. But you're a professional footballer, and you are at one of the biggest clubs in the world for a reason. Have belief in yourself, have belief in your teammates, and believe in the message in the coach. Believe in the coach and believe in his message. And I think that may not carry the day, but it can't hurt either. So
yeah. Nice to see Richard here from Arsenal TV.
Oh, yes.
He's doing well. I've been checking in with people. With this pandemic, it's good to keep in touch with people. Make sure everyone's okay. And Richard's been doing good. Evening, lads. Hope you're all well. Question: do you think Arteta will have the upper hand against Pep tactically? It really comes down to, I'm going to bring Rohan in here. Hey, Rohan.
Hey guys. Hey, what's up,
Yo.
guys?
A little bit of a cameo from Rohan here.
Yeah, quick one. Yeah, I was sitting in nature but couldn't get enough of actually waiting for the game, right? And you guys are like having such a great discussion. I had to be part of it for like 10 minutes.
It's great timing because we've been going over an hour and we're a little stumped on this question from Richard. So you can take this question. A nice, easy one to start off with. Do you think Arteta will have the upper hand against Pep tactically, Rohan?
We'll know on Wednesday, right? Like, there is no way of knowing whether or not, what Pep is definitely going to have an upper hand on is the experience, right? To see how the match goes and how he wants to,
the quality of players might be a little bit better.
Exactly. And he knows his players much better than Arteta, I would imagine, because he's worked with them for several years, so he knows how they work. And given all of that, I'd say I don't think Arteta has an upper hand, but definitely he knows a few tricks from on Pep's side as well. So it will be an interesting game, and I don't think Arteta is going in there, with any chance of losing. He's not thinking about that. He has his reputation also in mind.
And that's what I said just before you came. I think the one word that's most important, Rohan, is the word is belief. But the players need to believe in him.
Yeah, definitely. That's we have to have a game plan in place, and we have to continue with that game plan. And it's important to, sort of complete that and have it going till the T. We need to get the best out of the system and not give City the chance to capitalize.
Okay, Mahir, you wanted to get in?
Sorry, guys. I just wanted to say, I unfortunately have to be off again. The Roadrunner, as per usual. I have a call to make before. I just need to do something quickly. Works tomorrow, but I love you guys all. You guys all on the panel. I mean, what can I say? We had a great show. And thanks to all our subscribers also. I mean, Rowan, there's Rowan gone again. Just want to thank him as well for the cameo.
He pulled the Roadrunner on you.
Right. Mahir, full 90 for you on Wednesday, okay, Mahir?
Most definitely. It's exciting. Our first watch along. Can't wait to see the reactions of what happens,
Yeah. All right. Take care, brother.
Take care, guys.
See you, bud.
We'll wind it up from here. Yeah, okay. So the assembly said, Tanner, Luiz is the liability at the back. If he's in midfield, there is enough cover for any errors he makes. That's pretty true, actually. Stan says harder for him to give away penalties if he's in midfield.
We're at a point here with the back four and quite frankly the midfield as well that I just am not convinced that we're what do I want to say that there's really anybody better than David Luiz at the back. I mean, I don't, but I also don't know that there's anybody worse. I feel like we just have a group of center backs who all have their own very poor tendencies, and you're simply exchanging one set of problems for another.
Yeah.
That's just. I hope Pablo Mari proves me infinitely wrong on this.
I think we are seeing some good signs that they will speak the same language. They'll be able to communicate. David Luiz and Pablo Mari
Could be
the same language, should be able to communicate. And while we were lucky enough against West Ham, we could have given a goal or two up before we actually went on to win the game in our last competitive game against West Ham. We did get the clean sheet with David Luiz and Pablo Mari. They're going to be tested in up there at City as well. Tony, what's your feeling for the game?
Yeah, hopefully we just come out with energy and believe. I think we should hit the ground running. But you never know with this squad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've been so closely watching our own backyard that we're not really thinking about what other teams are doing. City obviously must be having the same type of preparation that we're having.
Of course.
So, all things will be equal there. The Assemble said the board believes in Arteta and negotiated no transfer kitty for January. Perfect for the board. Yeah. So, again, we're going to see. We have to see, such as what's happening with Aubameyang. We have to see the ambition of the club. That's almost as important as the ambition of the players.
Yeah. I mean, we touched on this on Thursday night, but it comes back to recruiting and the very, very poor job that we've done in that area in the last, decade. I mean, did we really recruited that well? Other than a few players here or there, we need to identify the players who are going to come in and do the job that Arteta wants them to do. And that's the big. I can't stress enough that it's not about getting the best players. It's about getting the right players to come in and fit his system. Yeah. I genuinely believe that Mikel Arteta is the right coach for this team. I never felt that way about Unai Emery. I always kind of felt bad for Unai Emery because I've always said you never want to be the guy that follows the legend. You want to follow the guy that follows the legend. But I am fully on board with Mikel Arteta. The board needs to be fully on board with him. But we can't just go willy-nilly throwing money at the 35 million pounds for Skodran Mustafi. Come on. We can't make those mistakes anymore. We just can't do that.
We need players with the right mentality as well.
Exactly. Mentality is massive. That cannot be understated either, Ray. That's a great point.
Grit and speed.
What, Tony?
That grit and speed's what we need in any player we sign.
Grit, speed, tenacity, will to win. Like we said before in this podcast, if we had 11 Alexis Sanchez's in their prime, we'd be a hell of a team. You know.
Ray, do me a favor. Yeah. Grab the badge. Grab the badge. That's what we need right there. I need to see guys who grab a hold of that thing like, this is my heartbeat right here. You know, this is what drives me. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I'm going to say this, one guy that I think in this club that has that I think catches a lot of flack is Lucas Torreira. I think he genuinely wants to be a part of this club.
Yeah.
But every time he steps foot out on the pitch, I don't think he understands what his job is.
Yeah. I definitely feel sorry for Lucas Torreira. He has been messed around.
I think Lucas Torreira I think he could be the N'Golo Kante of Arsenal.
Top notch. He's never had it. He had a bit of a run at the start of the first season, but it's been tricky for him since.
Yeah.
The Assemble said none of the center halves make a good pairing, and
the Assembled. It's a great point. Like I said before, you're simply exchanging one set of problems for another with all of these center backs. So no, I think Arteta has the job.
I think he'll be with us after 2 years. I think he still will be here.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen. And, you know, he could be making that statement not as a thing against Arteta, but a thing against the club and how we are run as well, you know? So, and Richard has a question, would you scrap the January transfer window so players can fight for their place instead of taking the easy way out?
Tony, you want to take that?
It would be beneficial for us, Tanner, if we did it. We never really do. We never really do business in January.
The window probably won't close until October.
Yeah, are we, Richard? Are we talking the January transfer window of 2021?
Just in general, I think.
I mean, I wouldn't scrap the transfer. I wouldn't scrap this upcoming window by any stretch of the imagination. We need better players. I would never right now. I wouldn't say scrap the January transfer window. You just never know what's going to happen between now and then. So it's a hard question to answer, Richard, just because you kind of have to take things as they come. So to say, yep, scrap it now, all things being equal, no injuries or anything like that. And if you like the team that you put together after the summer transfer window, then I'd say, yeah, maybe if you like the team and they're gelling well, they're meshing well together. Perhaps not all of the results are there, but yeah, I'd say maybe let them fight it out. Yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
It's really difficult as well because we have a couple of players who are taking about $500,000 a week from the club, you know, in Mesut Ozil and Henrik Mkhitaryan. They're taking almost 500,000 a week from the club, and we probably need those chains, those shackles to be cast off.
Absolutely, yeah.
Before we can do any serious business.
Yeah, I saw the Mkhitaryan for is it Kluivert? I don't know how you say his like Kluivert. I don't know how you say his last name, but okay. I that's if it's a straight up swap deal, I'd make that move in a heartbeat.
Go for that. Yeah.
If it's a straight up swap, yup.
It's not though. It's 35 to 40 million for Kluivert and
On top of Mkhitaryan?
No, Mkhitaryan 13 to 15, then 35 to 40 for Kluivert. So
the bonds of 20 million. I don't think so.
million for Kluivert.
Well. On the other hand, what would Kluivert come in at wage wise? Because could we get away with 25 and Mkhitaryan for Kluivert? I would do it. I'd do it. I got to think Kluivert doesn't come in on the same wage bill that Mkhitaryan's on.
No, not 180.
What's that?
He would not come in 180 a week, right, Tony? Maybe 100, 110. Seems to be our starting wage is 100 plus, right?
That's another thing that needs to be looked at, man. We gotta figure that part out too. We have the worst negotiating team in world football.
Stan says he thinks he would keep the windows. We have a lot of dross to move on and some upgrades to come in. And Richard is saying, Tanner, to get rid of the window completely.
Nah. I like I said, it's just you not knowing what's going to come, down the road between now and January. We don't even know what the 2021 season is going to look. We don't even know when it's going to start. And I don't even think they've announced when the transfer window is going to open in England. I think I heard Italy it's opening in August and closing at the end of September. I think, Tony, you want to fact check me on that?
I think Premier League, they said it will open in October.
It's going to open in October. Wow.
Okay, so
it should be done by the end of July, playing wise, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because I think the FA Cup Finals the first weekend in August, and I think that's the last thing in England.
Yeah.
October would kind of shock me.
So for me, it feels like a European Championships. We're playing football now in June and July, so it's gonna be interesting to say the least. But let's make this sort of toward the end of our section here for the podcast today. January was the window to spend nothing. Nothing was spent. Arsenal need to spend at least 200 million and sell the deadwood. Can anyone see that happening? Now I'm going to frame that for you guys. Got to frame it first here before we get into it, so you know exactly what we're talking about. Last summer we got very decent. We got some decent signings in. We were all happy with Pepe. Let's not lie. I was happy with Pepe. I'm not going to lie about that. I knew Tierney was going to get done, although the club hodgepodged over that for the whole summer. We got Tierney in. And then for me, the mistake happened last minute with Koscielny and all that going on. We had to get David Luiz. Okay, I can accept everything that happened in the summertime. I can even accept that we didn't do anything in January. But for me, as an Arsenal supporter, been supporting since the mid-'80s, I said to myself, this window, no matter what the circumstances, this window, the club has to show its ambition. We've got a really, really decent coach who's going to be. We all know he's going to be good, right? Arteta is going to be one of the best. I believe it. We need to back him up, and I want to see the club doing that. And I'm going to understand where the club is and where its ambition is after this window is done. And we need the club not to be cheap.
Yeah.
Better. Are you going to be looking at the club and say, okay, now we know what your ambitions really are at the end of this window?
Well, what I want to see more than the assembled, right? If you can throw the assembled comment back up there real quick, on the spend at least 200 million and sell the dead wood. Well, let's sell the dead wood. That's a great point. But let's also, when we put numbers on what the club should spend, well, let's identify the positions that we need. Let's identify the players that not, and when I say we, I don't mean us, the supporters. I mean we. First of all, Arteta, because he's the guy, he's the chef. He's the one that's got to put the ingredients together and cook the meal. So the recruitment team really need to be on board with him. said Leahy needs to be on board. They need to put their heads together. And, okay, so who are the players that we're going to identify that we want to buy? I don't care if they don't spend $200 million. If they get the right players and spend $50 million, I'm happy with that. It's getting the right players. It's not, $200 million, and the assembled, please don't take offense to anything I'm saying here. I agree with the sentiment behind it. I just don't like the idea of a number being put on it. I want to see the player. I don't look at the number.
I think if you're going to get 3 players, Tanner, it may take a lot of $200 million.
And again, as long as they're the right players. What Partey's release clause is $42 million. Upamecano doesn't have a release clause, or does he? I keep seeing different things on that.
Down the summer, it's around 50 something.
Okay, so we're halfway to 200 million, let's call it, between Partey and Upamecano, and now we need to bring in 2 or 3 more replacements, and I could easily see it being 150 million. But like I said, if it takes 200 million, it takes 200 million, and if that's the right players coming in, then it's
to get the deadwood out as well.
Yeah. So
right.
and yeah, I know I still stand by, and I made this comment a while back. We were talking about players we would sell. You gotta you gotta understand. You need a dance partner if you're going to dance. And if nobody wants to buy these guys, we can't just go to every club and be like, here, you're going to buy him. You can't do that. So Mustafi, as an example, was a guy that I said a while back in one of the last shows I was on with you, Ray, before the lockdown. If I wouldn't be, I'm not going to be completely upset if we don't sell him. I don't want to see him start. He's not a starter for me, but he's a guy that less is more. He's a guy that less is more. So in selling deadwood, like I said, as supporters, we need to understand this is a business, and you need a dance partner. So,
and Richard has said, why are we going for attacking players when attack isn't the issue? We should be looking at defensive midfielders and possibly center backs, or maybe one center back with Saliba coming in as well. Tony, what's your take on the whole transfer window, our needs, and getting rid of the deadwood? It's not as easy as it looks.
With the contracts the players are on, it's hard to get rid of them. And what Tanner was saying with Mustafi, I think he's good enough and improved enough. You might as well hold on to him for a year and let him run down his contract instead of trying to sell him.
And news on I've seen news about Ainsley Maitland-Niles going for 20 million, and people wondering why 20 million. Well, this player has played over 100 games for Arsenal. He's well worth 20 million.
You don't know where the 20 million came from.
Are we taking too much or not enough for him?
I think 25 to 30 should be his normal asking price, but in this market,
I think that's a very decent transfer valuation on a player who's played 100 games, and he's English, and he could do a job for a Premier League team.
I could absolutely see Ainsley Maitland-Niles going to a I can't believe a mid-table club, which, hey, guess who's a mid-table club right now?
We're in the upper echelons of that mid-table.
I could see, Alex Iwobi, Everton. I could see Ainsley Maitland-Niles going to a club like Everton. Yeah. Newcastle, Brighton. I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles could walk into a few of the lower mid-table clubs. I think he could improve a lot of teams down in that part of the table. I think he could improve a lot of teams. But there's one thing about Maitland-Niles, and I like Maitland-Niles. There's just something about him I like. He is a very, very flexible player. He can play a few different roles, and there's something to be said. There's a value there too. There's a value there, but sometimes midfield and can play right back. So
sometimes it's tough for a player to not be able to tie down a position and to be known as that squad player, quote unquote.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea. That's not for me. If I were a coach, I'd look for players like that. I'd look for players that have value at multiple positions.
But you're right. We did that with Iwobi. Iwobi was a player who had some value at the end of the window for us to recoup some of our losses. And it happened. I think the same thing could happen with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Tony, make no mistake, Arteta is watching his players and making judgments on whether they're going to stay with him or be moved on at some point in time.
Yeah, I hope he moves on. It seems like he's playing favorites for the players that he played with before and players that have been with the team for a while. Hope he gives up on that and just sees who's the best player that fits his system.
Yeah, he's really at this point in time. He's really only played with one player that's presently in the squad, and that's Mesut Ozil. Some news about Aaron Ramsey being on the market. That's something. It would tweak my interest, but ultimately I would say no for Aaron Ramsey because of his injury record and what he's going to cost. There's no need to regress there, is there, Tanner?
I'd respectfully disagree. As long as the price were right, price being right, I'd take Aaron Ramsey back at this club.
I mean, seriously, he would ultimately instantly improve us, but it would come with a price tag and maybe some injury issues as well.
The injury, yeah, that's the stumbling block for me with Aaron Ramsey is his injury history. He's just one of those guys that just it's always something. So and Aaron Ramsey, I'll love till the day I die. I absolutely love him. One of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, I mean when you me too. I agree with you. I would go so far as say with Arsenal legend. If you have a player who has won more than one or two trophies with the club and he's won 3, then and he's been a major part of winning 2 of the cups, that would for me would put him into legend status. For me, I know people would have a higher criteria about that, but I would call Aaron Ramsey a legend.
What I said to you earlier about grabbing the badge, and those are the kinds of players that I want to see. I was there the last match of the season 2 years ago against I think it was Burnley.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't think any Arsenal fan who fancies themselves a true Arsenal fan saw Aaron Ramsey crying on the pitch, knowing he wasn't playing for Arsenal the following season, and says, "Yeah, no, you know what? It's all right now." Mm-hmm. That again, he's got to come at the right price, and I would address other areas first. And if it came to, you know what, hey, Aaron Ramsey's kind of still floating around out there. Let's go make an offer, see what happens. I'd absolutely take him back.
So many things to blame Ivan Gazidis about, and indirectly, Aaron Ramsey leaving is one of them as well because they stumped up all that money for Mesut Ozil, and you're looking around that dressing room telling yourself, "I'm doing just as good a job as Mesut Ozil is doing,
if not better."
If not better, and you're not getting paid for it, and you want to get paid, and that's only natural for a player to want to do that.
If somebody told me I would have to drive Mesut Ozil to the Arctic Circle to get Aaron Ramsey back, I'm going to gas up the car right now.
Well, I know I can speak for my here. He would do the same thing as well. We'd probably take, if you could take 4 people in that car, Granit Xhaka would be another one. The two of you would be in the front seat, and Ozil and Xhaka would be in the back seat.
I want to make it clear, though, that that's not necessarily a dig at Mesut Ozil, because, again, I don't hate him the way that a lot of people do. I don't love him the way a lot of people do. He has a value to the club. Unfortunately, I just don't think he has shown that value or lived up to his hype in recent years. So, hey, look, who knows? Maybe Mesut Ozil comes back with that new haircut of his. And
I'm going to go on the record as well. I'm on the record several times about this. When we signed Ozil, I was as happy as the next guy. We were getting a world-class player at the time. He was good for 2 or 3 seasons, but then he was found out, particularly away from home. Whether his application waned or his talents waned, I don't know. But he was not the player. He is not the player now he was in the first couple of seasons with Arsenal. I'm just going to say that.
I think Mesut is a very, if this will make sense, he's a very stylistic player.
Yeah.
He needs to be in a system that fits his style, but he also needs to have players around him that are going to, I'd say make, I don't want to say make him better, but enhance what it is that he can do on the pitch.
Let him do his job. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want a little substance to the player as well. Bergkamp had all the skills, but he was nasty as well on the ball.
Yeah.
Bergkamp would not get messed around, and he had the skills to go with it as well.
Yep.
He assembled Arsenal buying Ramsey back is a backward step for Arsenal. They offered him a contract and withdrew it as well. So, listen, we're going to leave it there. I think we've covered a lot of things today. Leave some meat on the bone for the watch along on Wednesday. But Tony, you got any final words?
Nope, I'm just ready for football Wednesday.
Yeah, it's almost there right now. We've been watching. I've been having a little bit of a look at the Bundesliga here and there, especially 3 or 4 weeks ago when it seemed like there was a race on, but Bayern Munich has sailed into the distance. And definitely going to be good to get into the Premier League. I can't really believe it, Tanner. Wednesday we're going to get a game with the Arsenal and a full program next Saturday.
Yeah, that a game that means something, and a game that we all need to get up for. That includes the players, it includes the coaching staff, and I can't wait. I'm geeked up for it. I'll be here for the watch along. I can't promise I'm going to look at the computer monitor all that much. But, I'll be here for the watch along. You guys can you can see the beast in his natural habitat. And,
no problem.
But
all right. So the thing that we can't do, I'll just say it live here. You can't point the camera at the television screen, and you can't have the volume on. You got to have it on mute. So if you're okay with that, otherwise YouTube will strike it down.
Oh yeah. That's fine.
Yeah. So listen,
I'll have the camera focused squarely on the side of my head, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see a bunch of random people's expressions about Arsenal having kamikaze defending like Lundberg, oh no, what did they do? Go for it. Join us on Wednesday. We'll be doing a live watch along. Okay, so let's hope football's coming back. Let's hope for the best on Wednesday, and we'll get on a little bit early, have a little bit of a preview, but not much, and then the game will start. Nice one. Who's that? Is that you?
That's me.
That's you. There it is. Yeah, I see the beard. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until Wednesday, we'll do a live watch along then, and hopefully we get a decent result. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.
Hope everyone enjoyed